to my collection from Blackshack Books called The Forest of Dead Children. And the theme for my collection basically was children and their loss. This sort of came about because being a parent, I think you've got that fear of what should happen, should anything happen to your children, what life would be like. But also you've got that regret that you've actually had them in the first place, and all the time you could have had doing stuff you actually wanted to do is sucked away. So you've got the dichotomy between loving them on one side and wishing they weren't there on the other. I think it's a very honest parental thing to consider. So there are 5 stories in the book. I'm going to get my partner to read the second half of a story called The Harvest. The Harvest came about when I was down at the seaside with my 7-year-old daughter one day. We had a fantastic time, as you do, sandcastling and all this other kind of stuff. A very hot day. We got back to the car and I thought, what would happen if for some reason she was locked in the car and I was indisposed? So the second half of the story basically is where the child climbs down into the footwell of the car to play hide and seek, basically. The father's no longer there, and she dies in a hallucinogenic heat haze of sunstroke and sadness. And that's what Sophie's going to read. Thank you.
Hannah watched until her father was out of sight. Then she leant to her left with a view of releasing herself from the seatbelt. She wanted to hide in the footwell, to surprise him when he returned. He would pretend he couldn't see her, and there would be a moment of total complicity before one of them would break and reassert some reality to the situation. Her fingers pushed hard on the release button, and it shortly gave under pressure, the belt retracting quickly and catching her slightly against the soft underskin of her chin. She gave a little squeak, then shifted herself off the seat and squeezed her way from the back to the front, crouching down passenger side, where her mother's feet used to tap rhythmically against the rubber mat while something poppy and cheerful played on the radio. It was hot down there, stifling, in fact, but Hannah held a chuckle inside and curled into a ball, ignoring the thick smell, the handful of wrappers, the excitement of discovery, the toxic oppression. Whenever she hid this way, time appeared longer than it was. She'd yet to gain a grip on hours and minutes, but if her body were a sundial, it would be 12 o'clock. The position she'd assumed created an angle which delivered the best of the sun's rays through the glass windows, as though it had remained the height of day. And as she waited, sleep claimed her. Her eyelids hung like anvils, her tongue making ineffective forays against the dryness of her lips, her skin shrinking against her frame, sweat pooling on her skin and depleting salt during its exit, nausea keeping her still. Kaleidoscopic light blossomed sunflower patterns filtered through orange, dark yellows, and deep browns. Hannah chased the colours, splashed them askance, was aware of a freedom of futility in a never-ending summer. Heat buckled her memories, imbued her dreaming. Butterflies gorged with shadows of dust echoed in vast landscapes. A rainbow of sorts cut a swathe into her vision. There was a turgidity to her thoughts as she considered running towards the curve, subconscious soup thick. She intimated a craving of beauty, a rush to the ethereal. She felt her body relax, uncurl, lend itself to the moment, accept the fluidity of released tension. Her limbs ghosted over brilliant white daisies scented with yolk-brown spots, buttercups coated slick, poppies edging with the brittleness of crepe paper, with tiny breathing hairs. In the distance, mountains, peaks, sky. Tumbling, blue replaced green, replaced blue. She accentuated her thoughts, pushed against the reverb, free to elasticity. Stretching wilded her. Swimming in air, she called the name of each animal, watched as they attended her, from the fowl to the beast, the fur to the horn, their tiny fingers bristling with sellotape and humour, with a blatant respect of every day. Her ears accepted the veracity of the tumult. Sounds commingled in waves as though under water, a distortion of voices. Considering this immersion, her body racked a breath, a bubble of snot. She flipped over, coasted backwards, plastic deposits within translucent eggs writhed their possibilities. Twisting and halving, she disgorged their contents, an amalgam of sheen. Figurine maps flitted on sheaves of paper. Unable to make the match, she closed her eyes, yet saw them all the same, rivulets of liquid between her toes, the grit which takes an oyster to pearl. In one ascent, she beautifies the sun, the brilliant white orb which surrenders subtle manner, watches her skin distend as though under a blowtorch, a flame erupting from an unattended ship pan, a coruscation of bruises, a yielding to ferment. Moments of clarity punk her wisdom. Words drip from picture books. Something akin to chewing gum traps and finalises her position. She turns within the gel, an automatic animal. Fissures disguise synchronicity. Minerals hike in exit. Something thick right in her mouth. A pale whale trapped between banks of cracked earth. A dark pressure distends her hearing. Voices emerge from the tumult. Han, Han, ah, ah. There is no grip to them. Something inside her yearns, a forgotten fight. Music runs a tangent in her mind. The V of progress punctuates her vision. Solid colours appear in tandem, random, chunks of viscous. They congeal, absorb themselves into gaps, squash whatever view she has, imitate the heat until they are one and the same, scour her throat, spin her, tumble simple hallucinations. The flail of her mind forces logic onto entanglement. She patterns familiarity, her school, her home, her room, her mother. She impresses these rubbings, these certainties, like clutching water in uncut palms or encouraging sand to filter through her fingers. Then the lucidity vanishes. She witnesses a shade of diaspora, a fermentation of dispersal. Fragmentation, carpet deep, funnel friendly. Can't take this now. Her imagination grows a sunspot, a region of reduced surface temperature caused by concentration of magnetic field flux which inhibits convection. She slips beyond in pure hallucinogenic heat haze. And then